Disappearance, a true horror mystery, full story in one flow. It was Christmas Eve, 1945, in the quiet town of Fayetteville, West Virginia. The Sodder family house glowed with warmth and laughter. George and Jennie Sodder were celebrating with their 10 children, surrounded by twinkling lights. Gifts under the tree, and the sweet smell of cookies in the air. The children were full of joy, running around, hanging stockings, and singing softly to the radio. As midnight neared, the younger kids begged their mother to let them stay up and play a little longer. Jennie smiled, kissed them on their heads, and said, "All right, but remember to turn off the lights before you sleep." She and George went upstairs, unaware that this would be the last time they would see 5 of their children alive. At around 1 o'clock a.m., Jennie woke suddenly. She thought she heard something, a strange thud on the roof, like something had hit it, followed by a faint rolling sound. Then, the house grew still again. Moments later, the sharp smell of smoke filled her nose. Jennie jumped out of bed and saw orange light flickering down the hallway. The house was on fire. She screamed for George. Together they rushed to wake their children. The 2 oldest boys managed to escape, along with George, Jennie, and a few of the younger kids. But when they looked around, 5 children were missing: Maurice, Martha, Louis, Jennie Jr., and little Betty. The staircase leading to the upper floor was already burning fiercely. George tried to run through the flames, but the heat was unbearable. He ran outside to grab the ladder that always leaned against the house, but it was gone. He rushed to his trucks to move them near the window so he could climb up, but both trucks, which had worked perfectly the day before, wouldn't start. The parents screamed their children's names again and again, but the only sound was the roar of the fire. Within 45 minutes, the house was gone, reduced to ashes under the cold Christmas sky. When the firefighters finally arrived hours later, there was nothing left but smoke and rubble. As they sifted through the debris, there were no bones, no remains, nothing to suggest the 5 missing children had died there. The authorities quickly ruled it an accident, a faulty wire, they said, and suggested that the fire had completely consumed their bodies. But George and Jennie refused to believe that. They knew bones could not vanish in such a short, low-temperature fire. Something was wrong. In the days that followed, strange clues began to appear. The missing ladder was found thrown in a nearby ditch. A telephone repairman reported that the Sodders' phone line had been cut, not burned. A woman claimed she saw the 5 children in a passing car while the house burned. Another said she saw them days later at a motel. Then, weeks later, Jennie received a mysterious phone call from a woman's voice who said softly, "Your children are safe." Before hanging up, years passed, but the mystery deepened. One day, a photograph arrived in the mail. It showed a young man, about 25, with dark, familiar eyes. On the back were the words written in shaky handwriting, "Greater than Louis Sodder. I love brother Frankie. Illo boys." A 90,132. The family froze. Louis had been only 9 when he disappeared. Could it really be him? Grown up, alive somewhere? No one knew who sent the photo, and no one could trace it. The letter had no return address. The Sodders rebuilt their home on the same land. In their yard, they placed a huge billboard with the faces of their 5 missing children, pleading for answers. It stood for decades, a haunting reminder to everyone who passed by. But no truth ever came. Some locals whispered that George's outspoken views against Mussolini had earned him enemies who had taken revenge. Others believed someone had kidnapped the children and staged a fire, but no evidence ever proved it. Years turned into decades. George and Jennie grew old, never giving up hope, never taking down the billboard. Even after their deaths, the mystery of that Christmas Eve remained unsolved. To this day, no one knows what truly happened to the Sodder children, whether they perished in the flames or were taken by someone who wanted them hidden forever. People in Fayetteville still talk about it. Some say that on cold winter nights, near the old site of the Sodder home, you can see 5 small shadows standing in the fog, their outlines faint, holding hands, watching the empty land where their home once stood. And when the wind blows just right, it carries the soft sound of children's voices, whispering, laughing, crying, as if they're calling out to be found. Even after all these years, one thing remains certain: the fire may have died, but the mystery never did. Moral: greater than. Some truths are buried deeper than ashes, and the scariest ghosts are not the ones we see, but the questions that will never be answered.